Hi, Tonia, and thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
yeah, of course, it's a pleasure. I'm really excited to be speaking with you today. So maybe if you could just start by telling us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
So I am a ex-diver. I've made three Olympic Games. I'm a high board diver, which means I dive off the 10-meter board. And I was diving for 18 years, and now I'm retired. I'm actually a diving coach.
Yes, yes, exactly. Perfect. So when did you first start diving, if we look back in time?
Oh, I started when I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was a gymnast before, so it's very similar. I dislocated my elbow, so I kind of didn't really want to go back to gymnastics. And I got told to try diving because it's very similar, and I just absolutely loved it. So I did it for 18 years,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a
a
really long
long,
time.
long time.
Yeah, definitely. So, what is it then about diving that you really like? Why did you choose that? Maybe before doing other sports or?
Um, well, gymnastics is like, you do your somersaults and handstands, and diving was exactly the same. So I already had that as a background. And when I went one time with my friend just to have a bit of fun,
Mm-hmm.
I had the best time. And then I went down to meet the coaches, and everybody just seemed so friendly and so welcoming. I went and I had the best time of my life. And then I actually went in for my first competition, I think maybe 6 weeks. As soon as I started diving, I think 6 weeks was my first competition. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't expecting much. And I actually came first. So I thought, maybe this is for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, when did you know then that you essentially wanted to become a professional diver? I mean, do you remember a specific moment where you were like, oh,
Yeah,
I can make it?
I think I was 13 years old or maybe 14, I'm not sure. I was young and I did a competition against all the senior divers,
Mm-hmm.
and I got given a letter saying, Congratulations, you've made the junior Olympic program. I had no idea what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of gave it to my mum and dad, and yeah, they were just like, "Oh, you've made the team for the Great Britain team," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And just after that, I just thought, "Oh, maybe I could be good at this."
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, 13 years old. I mean, that's very young, to already be thinking about those things. But I'm guessing as well when you get so into something and you spend so much time doing it, that becomes quite normal to dream big.
Yeah, definitely. I will. Funny actually. Tom Daly put a video up on his Instagram today,
Mm-hmm.
saying, I think it was a video of him as a 14-year-old, and he looked so young, and he said as a 14-year-old I want to be an Olympic champion. And yeah, he did a video saying it's so weird because if my kid at 14 years old wanted to be an Olympic champion, he would say, calm down, you know you
Yeah.
don't need to dream that big, but he did, and look where that got him. So I guess we can all have a dream.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's good to dream, I guess, and especially as a kid as well, it fuels you and gives you motivation to work for it. So, I know as well that when you were 16, you made your like big major debut at the 2005, I think, World Championships.
Yes.
So, how was it
Yeah.
to, you were still so young and you were competing at such a high level. How was that?
Do you know what? It was really, really difficult. It was so much fun because I had been taken away with all the older athletes. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't need a chaperone to tell me what time I've got to go to bed because I was treated as an adult. Um, but the competition was so scary. I came second to last, and it was an outdoor diving pool. So the sky was the same color as the pool. So when I was spinning around, I didn't know where I was. And I had never been in an outdoor pool before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very, very scary. And all these amazing divers, I was just so intimidated. It was just crazy. But they were all very friendly. No one was ever nasty to me. People used to say, take your time, wait for the judges,
Mm-hmm.
they can wait for you instead of rushing on the board, like quickly going when I'm not ready or out of breath. So there was people from America, Canada, all sorts. That was really helpful, but it was just so scary. And 10 minutes before my event, I actually landed completely flat on my face.
Oh, wow.
So that wasn't something that you need leading into a competition. I remember my mum and dad was coming into the stand, and they heard this big bang and said, "Oh, I hope that's not our Tonia." And they came round the corner, and there's me with like black and blue face, like full on bruised, coughing because I winded myself. Yeah, it was just, it was a crazy experience. And then as soon as I finished, obviously I was a little bit upset and gutted, but this lady came over and said, "Can I have your autograph, please?" And I just thought, why does she want mine? It was just all a bit crazy, but you live and you learn.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, do you think that experience motivated you and inspired you to keep going, when you saw all of these other divers and you felt like it was this big stage, everything kind of new?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I thought I want to make a final after that.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of obviously coming near the bottom, I just wanted to push myself. And actually every world event and Olympic event since that day, I'd finaled. So it kind of gave me definitely a push up the bum.
Of course, that's amazing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
Really, really crazy. Even it was the worst times, it was the scariest times, but brilliant time.
Of course, it helped you, kind of set you off then towards your career, if you could put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. And many more events to come after that.
Yeah, of course. And like you said before, you're a 3-time Olympian. I mean, how was that to compete in the Olympics? You were still quite young, I believe 19 years old when you competed in your first Olympics.
Yeah, I think I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to qualify for the Olympic Games, but I went into the Olympic trials wanting to, but not necessarily being expected to.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stayed focused, put my head down and qualified for the Olympic Games. And then when I got to Beijing, it was the craziest thing. Me and Tom was walking around the whole village, seeing all these amazing famous athletes, and the food canteen was like the size of 3 football pitches put together. It was insane. There was McDonald's for free. Everything was for free. There was a games room right in front of where we were staying. So we would go down there and, just remembering who we are kind of, and staying calm, because obviously it's such a nervous and a crazy experience. Mm-hmm. We just thought to let our hair down, we'd go play games in the evenings, and it was just amazing. And the best thing for me was making the final, because I never expected my first Olympic Games to have made a semis, let alone a final. And I walked out, the first person to walk out, and I could see my mum and dad in the crowd with the flags, and it was just amazing. Best experience of my life.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine. Like you said, like making the final, having your family there to support you, and your friend, of course, in Tom, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was. I remember when I was competing in the prelim, I had my friend Tom and Ben come sit with me just we can enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So I would go to the event, because there was a good 40 of us, so it was a long event. And I would come back and we would play a little bit of like a computer game or cards. And then my name came up saying I made this top 18, which was the semi-finals. And I remember they were lifting me up, screaming and hugging. I was like, oh, I made it. This is amazing. So then we did exactly the same for my semi-finals. They came and sat with me, and I had literally came 12th. So you have to be top 12 to make the final. And that was just amazing. I was like screaming. I was like, oh my goodness. And then my mum and dad with their flag t-shirt, and my mum made a flag dress. It was literally, even though London was so amazing, I think just that was my first experience of Olympic Games. Had to be the most amazing.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, that was your first one, but you also went to the London Olympics. So how was that? I mean, competing at home. That must be
That
special
was,
as well.
yeah, definitely. The fact that Great Britain was so hyped because London Olympic Games was around the corner, and the fact that everybody could come and watch, you just felt really like supported and loved, and you were so like honored, and everybody would invite you to places afterwards, and they would treat you like something special, and it was, oh, walking out into the home crowd, everybody cheering it. I couldn't even hear my name. Like when
Wow.
myself and Sarah Barrow went out to compete, we looked through, I think we looked through the door and they saw it. We didn't know if this was a good thing or a bad thing because it was so scary. But yeah, I just wish things like that was all on film so we could like have it forever. But you never forget those memories.
No, of course, of course. And like you said before too, like I've understood, you know, that your team, like Great Britain, like you're such a tight team as well, you know, being everyone there together. So was it also, you know, like a dream come true for you being able to represent your country, and especially then being at home?
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah, I think we were very lucky to be alive, you know, going to the Olympic Games in your home country. Like, not many people get to do something like that. So, yeah, great time to be alive.
Of course. And in terms of like, I mean, you said, of course, for your first Olympics, you were very nervous because everything was quite new. Then competing at home, did you feel any pressure going into those games? Yeah.
Yeah. Not pressure in the fact of you must medal, because realistically that was pretty tough. But pressure, I think, because so many people were talking about it. I don't think I slept the night before. I remember being in our flat that we would stay in the village, and being like good night to our teammates, and just no one sleeping. So that was pretty crazy. A lot more pressure than Rio for sure. For sure. I think when I got into Rio, I knew it was going to be my last Olympic Games, but I kind of was looking after my synchro partner as she was so young. She was only 16, and we had only been partnered 8 months before Olympic Games, which really is just crazy, because all other teams were together 10 years plus. The Canadians had done 3 Olympics as the same partners, whereas I had done Rio with one partner, London with another partner, and Beijing with another. So you should really stick with your partners, but it all depends, doesn't it? Depends on the other partner, if they're injured or somebody else is coming along.
Yeah, of course. But how would you say that you dealt with that then, if you felt pressure, you know, going into the Olympic Games?
I think I do quite well under pressure. I think I like a bit of pressure. If I don't have pressure, then I'm not really feeling it, and I don't dive as well. So pressure for me, I think I kind of like it deep down, even though it's an awful feeling. I do like a bit of pressure. So I think I handled it quite well. I didn't drop any dives. I did all my dives really well. So I was really pleased.
Okay. That's good to hear. And I think it's, not saying everyone likes pressure, but it's a good thing, you know, to have that. Like you said, it can be scary in the moment, but it's something that might be able to motivate you a little bit more and, you know, like you said, perform under pressure. That's really cool.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Yeah. I think it's good to have a bit of nerves. Like I said, if I didn't have nerves, I'd go into that competition and I'd feel like it's training. So I would dive okay, but not next level. Whereas when I got a bit of nerves, it's a good feeling.
Exactly. It matters. It means that it matters to you. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And aside from the Olympics as well, you have a lot of other accomplishments, like medals from, you know, European Championships, World Cup, British Championships. Maybe it's difficult because you already spoke about some memories, but do you have like one favorite memory, or would you have to pick like a few different ones?
I do actually.
Okay.
Oh God, I've got so many. We were doing World Series in Russia, in Kazan. And I think I just must have, I'm focused normally, but for some reason I must have just been even more focused. And I was winning the whole way through. And I didn't know that, because you don't expect to beat the Chinese, you just don't. So I thought, I'm in for a good shot here,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get told until I'd finished. I was winning all the way through. And then at the very last moment, a Chinese judge gave the Chinese girl a 10. So she beat me by a point.
Wow.
So I came second. So I split the two Chinese, which is very rare to happen. So I was over the moon, but the fact that somebody said I was winning the whole way through is just literally, I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of my favorite moments.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But it's interesting too. Like it's, like you said, you were winning the whole way through, but in the end you ended up finishing second, but it's still such a big memory for you. I mean, that's quite interesting as well.
Yeah, well, because I thought I came third. When they said you've got a medal, my mum rang and said you came second, like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, mum, I came third. And she was like, no, you came second. And I said, there's no way I could have beaten a Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way. And she said, Ton, look online, it says, look at results. So I hung up thinking, she's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I went and seen everyone, and everybody was like, no, you've come second. And I was like, oh, like even better. So I thought I came third. And then they explained you won the whole way through until the Chinese gave the Chinese a 10, sneaky, which is, yeah, it is disappointing because you imagine winning a world event is just, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But coming second, I just couldn't believe either.
Yeah, of course. And especially, like you said, you believe that you finished third and then actually getting those news. I mean, that's just positive. So that's great.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, during your career, how would you say that, you measured your success? Was it the awards, the medals, or was it doing what you love, traveling? What was like the most important?
I think the fact that obviously traveling with our team, because we were such a tight team,
Mm-hmm.
we were constantly laughing, and all other countries used to say, why are you guys always laughing? Like when we would go down for our meals, obviously all different countries would be down there and we would just be laughing and smiling and
Mm-hmm.
just having the best time, whereas some countries would just sit there with like their face miserable the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But then also obviously achieving and winning that medal just paid off all that hard work of training and the hard work with the fact that you're missing home and you're living out of a suitcase. That was quite hard at times.
Yeah, of course. So probably a combination then of both a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
And like you said, at the end of 2017, you retired from diving, leaving a big legacy behind, of course, as one of the greatest divers in England, on the female side, which is awesome.
Crazy.
So, I mean, congratulations on that, first of all. That's really, really cool.
Thank you.
And I mean, what essentially led up to this decision? Like, how did you know that it was the time to end your career?
Well, I always wanted to make an Olympic Games, but I never expected to make 3. And so I kind of did every competition there was as an athlete, as a diver. There was no other competition that I hadn't done. Obviously, I would love to have gotten the Olympic medal, but I just felt like I'd done everything and more than I would ever imagine. So I thought I wanted to keep myself on a high and finish, technically unbeaten, instead of going until I was injured and starting to get beaten. I just wanted to leave on a happy note. And so yeah, I did. And I wasn't a young chicken anymore.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been looking a little bit at your Instagram, of course, and it seems like, you're still working hard to stay in shape. And I saw something about, dreaming about being back in the pool. And especially now with, COVID and Tokyo Olympics being postponed, like, have you been thinking at all about going back to competing or?
Oh, do you know what? So many people keep saying, get back in. And like a part of me, 50% of me is like, oh my goodness, I probably could do this. Like I'm still fit. I've been keeping fit at home. So there's nothing that's stopping me. But at the same time, I don't want to go back and disappoint myself. Like I don't, like a lot of people do. A lot of people go back and it doesn't turn out the way they want it to turn out. And like, I don't want to remember that. Okay. So I think it's probably best to just finish on a good note.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, you spoke a little bit before about your friend, Tom Daly, and he's still competing and he's aiming for the Tokyo Olympics. And I know that just before you retired, you started competing with him, a little bit mixed as well. So, I mean, with him still competing, is that something that maybe would, have you want to go back as well, being able to do it with your friend?
Yeah, he keeps texting me saying come back.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah.
And Nick Synchro was really good fun with him,
Hmm.
but it's not an Olympic sport, so it's a
Hmm.
little bit of a
Yeah.
waste of time.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for the Olympics then, it would be outside, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So no, I'll just be his little cheerleader instead.
Okay, that's great. And I wanted to ask you as well, because like you said before, you're childhood friends and you've been essentially kind of going on this journey together. So what has it meant for you to have a friend like Tom through all of this?
Oh, do you know what? Like, for people that don't know him, probably
Hmm.
think, oh, he's really sensible and he's really nice and sweet. I mean, he is nice and sweet, but he's absolutely nuts. And he is a bit of a geek, really, behind closed doors. We have laughed the whole way through our careers. And when I gave up, it was a little bit of a shock for him. I
Hmm.
remember he would FaceTime me or message me just saying, "Oh, we miss you, come back." So that must have been really hard for him. But yeah, I do miss seeing him as much as I used to, because obviously he's in London and I'm in
Hmm.
Plymouth. So, but hopefully I'm seeing him in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, that's great now that the lockdown has ended.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank goodness.
Perfect. And I mean, speaking a little bit more about your career, obviously you endured, countless of hours of training, traveling, gym, everything. And typically being a professional athlete means that, you might have to sacrifice some stuff for doing what you love. What would you say that this has looked like for you in terms of diving?
Yeah, we did sacrifice a lot actually. I remember saying to my friends, like all the kids are out and about drinking on the streets. I missed all of that. And obviously looking back, I'm glad, but at the time you don't realise, do you? So the fact that my sport and my diving has been successful, it's
Mm-hmm.
completely paid off. And the fact that I've missed people's weddings, people's birthdays, even my own, my 21st and things like that, it doesn't matter. At the time it can be a little bit like, oh, but looking back now, um I much would rather be a successful diver, sorry, get my words mixed up,
No worries.
um than missing out and all those things.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you said you barely noticed. I mean, when you were growing up, let's say, the time when most kids go out and party and stuff like that, did you think about it? Did you feel like you were missing out on something, or did you not even pay attention to it because you were so focused?
Most of the time I didn't pay attention. Sometimes I would be asked and asked and asked, come out over to our friends, and I used to be like, I can't, and they'd be like, take the evening off, and I was like, it's not as simple as that. um but the older I got throughout my secondary school, um the more supportive people was getting. And everybody used to say, oh my goodness, you're going to make the Olympics, 2012. And the fact that I made 2008,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was so pleased and supportive. So people by the end of it didn't ask me to go out because they knew that I had diving that night.
Yeah, you had bigger goals than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And best thing I've done is doing that, really, because a lot of people would quit their sport because of that, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I had such amazing people around me to keep me going.
Yeah, of course. And I'm a little bit curious, when you were diving, what did your routines look like, with training, sleeping, eating?
Oh, yeah, so when I was in school I used to leave the house at 6:30, 7:15, to get to
Mm-hmm.
training for 7, a quick hour and a half, and then off to school. So I used to go into school with wet hair, eating my breakfast in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I used to train in the evenings, 6:30 till 8:30 at night. So it was quite late when I was in school. So I was just go, go, go all the time. So bedtimes for me was just beautiful.
Yeah.
I used to hit the pillow straight away. When I finished school, obviously I had a lot more time. So training was 10:30 till 12:30, 1 o'clock. and then go home for a rest, walk my dog, and then go back to training again for 4:30, 4 o'clock till 7. So it was a lot of hours in the day, but when I finished school, I had a lot more hours downtime. So that was really nice. But yeah, I mean, my diet wasn't probably the best looking back now. I'm probably healthier now than I am then. But we trained so much, I burnt so many calories.
Of course, yeah.
So if I wanted a Chinese on a Saturday night, I used to get a Chinese, you know. But in the weekday, I tried to get as much protein and veg down me as possible.
Yeah, okay, of course. And I mean, looking back at your journey, I mean, from when you started until today, what would you say has been like the biggest challenge that you had to face along the way?
Qualifying for 2012 individual Olympic Games and being told that you're not competing was probably the hardest thing ever, because the girl that came third behind me hadn't beaten me in years, and she got picked to go because she was living next door to our manager. So I think they obviously got a bit friendly, and it was her last chance of making the Olympic Games. So they picked her over me because I was doing synchro. So they said that I should concentrate only on synchro, even though I'd been the only female to have made every single world final, the only female to be scoring over 320 consistently. Obviously, a lot of other people are scoring over that, but consistently throughout the years. And being told, sorry, you're not doing it, when I could have got a medal if I dived like I'd been diving. I could have made a medal. I know they say who knows, whatever, but I had some kind of good chance. But so that was probably the hardest time for me. I was so gutted. I remember coming home crying my eyes out, and the fact that they never told me until a few days later, after they had celebrated that they were going. I still thought, because I qualified, I was going.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the worst time ever. But after that year, we did nationals, and I scored basically what the silver medalists had scored at the Olympic Games, and won British nationals. And he obviously shook my hand, and I just had nothing to say, to be honest. I just walked off, kind of like, yep, I'll show you what I can do. If you didn't pick me, that's your own fault. And so that was really, really tough for me and my family and my coach. So I think they learnt their lesson, that's for sure. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame that you had to go through that for them to learn their lesson.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, like you said, you kind of got your revenge, or whatever you want to call it, afterwards. But how did you like handle it in the moment? Like, how did you overcome that? How did it, impact your motivation and everything like that when it happened?
I didn't want to go to training. I just thought, if you're going to be like that, why am I even training?
Yeah.
So that was really, really difficult. And the hard thing is, my synchro partner at the time, Sarah Barrow, was amazing, and she like supported me. But it was hard because the girl that qualified was her best friend. So it was really, really tough for her, because she knew what was right, and she supported me as much as she could, without being horrible to anyone. So she kind of helped me get motivated. My family helped me get motivated, and so did my coach. And I kind of just wanted to prove a point. So when I went to the Olympic Games, I didn't have to go and watch the event that I should have been in, but I did. And the girls didn't make the semi-final, and I went and watched the semi-final, and I watched the final with none of our girls in it. And I think a lot of other countries noticed that, and I think they all came up and kind of said like they're sorry, kind of thing, like you should have been in that event. So that was really nice to hear that other countries recognized me in that sense. But that was the hardest time in my career.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course, I can imagine that must be tough after, all the hard work and everything you put in, and like you said, you knew it was right, and you felt like it wasn't really, it didn't go down the right way, especially. So
no, not at all. Yeah, it was just unfair. Like, the girl that came underneath me got a personal best that day and still finished under me, so it just never made sense, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, of
Well,
course.
that's politics for you, isn't it?
I mean, it happens, but yeah, no, I mean, it's a shame that it happens, but like you said, at least you kind of, I mean, you took it the good way, I guess. Like you said, you showed some pride in showing up to the event and everything, and you still got your revenge and you proved
Yeah.
your point. So that's the most important. And you went on to do a lot more things after that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think the real Olympics after, and Tom Daly and Jack Law. So there was only three of us. I was the only girl to be pre-selected.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I cried because I don't cry too much with happiness unless I'm watching a TV program. Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, I don't cry with happiness for myself. And I remember I just cried because I think because of the moment I had in 2012 and the fact that they pre-selected me, because I think that's all they owed me, that at least, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really nice moment, and I really appreciated that.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. It was kind of a contrast from what happened previously, so that's really good.
Yeah, that's the least you could have done. Eh?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I mean, during your
Yeah.
career, whenever you face like tough moments, did you ever consider like giving up diving? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Probably after that moment, I think at first I was like, I'm done. What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, luckily I ended up switching it around and being more determined
Mm-hmm.
because you just
Okay.
don't know which way it could go, really.
No, of course. So I mean, what was your biggest motivation then? I mean, growing up, but also during those tough times when you felt like you kind of just wanted to quit and do something else, what kept you going?
Um, my family was never the ones to say you must go to training and you
Mm-hmm.
must do this. Never. Um, but I remember crying to them one time and they said, you are so talented. If you give up, you would be so silly to do so. And they were like, have a few days off. So I had a few days off just to kind of see my friends, get myself back together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to training and I was with my friends and I had a laugh. And I had the most amazing coach, Andy Banks. Um, he was just fabulous. He was so much fun, but worked as hard at the same time. So I reckon a mixture of family and coaches and friends, they really just helped me get back on it.
Yeah, of course, of course. That's great. And I mean, when you were growing up as well, like initially when you started diving, what was your, I mean, was there someone that you were looking up to, like you had an idol or something that inspired you, motivated you, or?
Yes, there was a girl actually.
Mm-hmm.
She's called Laura Wilkinson, and she's American, and she was she was older than me. I can't remember how much, but when I first got onto like the big circuits, I was walking up the stairs one time, and I was the first person to start the event.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of rushed up the stairs, soaking wet, panicking. And she like stopped me and said, "Take your time. If the judges can, if they need to wait, they will wait." And she was just like, "Good luck." And she was technically competing against me. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
she was a lot better than me at the time, but um, she was just really friendly and helpful. And I think from then on, I really looked up to her. And she was the Sydney Olympic gold medalist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I mean, because I can imagine when you come, like being quite young and everything, and everyone is very, I mean, they know what they're doing. It can be intimidating and to see all of these people
Very.
so focused. So for someone to take their time to just stop and talk to you, I guess, was very
Yeah.
encouraging.
Oh, it was. It was just like, I think I remember like telling my coach, like, "Oh, Laura spoke to me that day and she told me to stay calm." And it was just, yeah. And that's what I wanted to do to the young ones after seeing that, because I knew how much that helped me. When I became older, I did that to the young ones so they would feel at ease as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she's definitely a role model.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like you said now, you wanted to kind of do the same thing whenever you were competing. Would you say that you see yourself as a role model for kids today, both when you were competing and maybe today, like coaching as well?
Yeah, but because it's me, I don't see it. I suppose you don't see it yourself, but a lot of people and a lot of parents say that I am. And to the coach. Like I coach the young ones, and all the mums say the same. So yeah, I guess I am, but because it's me, I don't see it as such. I just see me as me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you probably experience like young girls or guys like coming, speaking to you and, thanking you for motivating them or stuff like that. I'm pretty sure you have, kids that do look up to you, even if you don't feel it yourself that you're like a role model. I mean, I'm sure you influence a lot of kids out there.
Yeah. And I it's lovely that people are able to ask me questions and things like that. And for me to give back my experience to them, it's really nice.
Yeah, and especially now, being a coach as well, that's certainly like an opportunity to give back. And I mean, whenever you retired, was it a clear choice that you wanted to coach, or how did you end up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to be an Olympic coach. I'm not interested in that as such. I don't know if that's because I've done it all myself and I know how hard work I've put in as well as my coach. So I'm really enjoying training the little ones. So my guys are from 6-ish to about 9, 10, and they are the very start of like the talent pathway. So they have something special in them, and I teach them all the basics and kind of pass them on so they can like move up groups and stuff. So it's really rewarding, the fact that I've taught them from doing a jump, and then I can actually teach them to do proper dives. So and they are absolutely nuts, and I love it. So that's awesome. My job's not boring, that's for sure.
Okay, that's great. And I mean, like you said before, you spent so many years diving, like 18 years, and I think 12 years your senior career. What would you say, that sports or diving in, yes, especially, has given you? Like, what have you learned from doing sports?
It's a tough one, actually, because I feel like I don't like to be late. I always like to be early, but I think that's from the sport. I can talk to anyone, and I think that's also from meeting people around the world. And hard work. I like to work hard because of that. But yeah, I've also learned that, I've had such amazing friends that have supported me, and you just can't ask for anything better, really.
Of course. And I mean, now when you're a coach yourself, do you think that you can kind of see the impact that sports has on kids, like diving, when kids essentially get the opportunity to play sports? Can you see that when you're a coach?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's nice to get them in, keep them fit, keep their minds ticking, it's just, I think sport for any kid, whatever sport it is so important. They absolutely love it when they're there. So it's the fact that as soon as you get there and find something that you do love, and if you enjoy something, I think you can go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I've always said, as long as I enjoy my sport, I know I will do well in it. The day I stop enjoying it is the day that I will not compete well at all. So luckily, I absolutely enjoyed myself.
That's great. And you still get to be involved, with diving as a coach. So that's awesome as well. But do you think that, now when you're a coach and you're not competing, has that kind of changed your view on the sports? Do you see it kind of in a different light, or?
Yeah, I do actually. I see it in the fact that, like I say to my kids, get on with it. You'll be fine. It's not that scary. Well, it is. Like when I was a diver, I tried to take myself back and be like, yes, Tonia, it is scary, because the coaches are always a little bit like, no, you'll be fine, get on with it. So I'm able to speak to them, but because I have done it, I'm able to speak to them and say, I've landed flat a few times, but I've got straight back up and done it again. So I can communicate a little bit better because I've been in their shoes. So I think that's definitely helped me be a coach.
Yeah, of course. I can imagine. Like, I mean, it must be probably easier for them as well, like being a kid, trusting what you say because they know as well that you've done it. So from their perspective as well, it's probably very helpful.
Definitely. And they always say, we've watched you on YouTube, because obviously they're too young to have seen me compete.
Yeah, but that's cute. They're still looking.
Yeah, it's really sweet. It is. All their
Yeah.
parents obviously show them.
Of course. And aside from coaching kids, are you involved in any other projects with sports and kids?
No, I've got my own eyelash company and
Mm-hmm.
brow waxing, so I do that salon room, which I am in here now.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something on the side because I've always been into a bit of beauty, but now coaching's my main job, and I am enjoying doing all the keep fit stuff on my Instagram page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that as well. And I also wanted to talk to you about this photo shoot that I saw you did, I think it was a few years ago with Women's Health. And you spoke quite openly, about like body image and body positivity, this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw that this is still a topic that you bring up quite a lot on your Instagram.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you feel about the current situation, with all these body ideals that I guess both young men and women feel like they're pressured to live up to?
Oh, like, and sometimes, and I feel that sometimes, so that's why I like to put
Mm-hmm.
out there, like, just be the best version of yourself, because we are all so different. I very much have an athlete's body, so I'm very muscular.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was diving, I hated it. But now I finished diving, I've now realized I should have loved that, because that's me and that's what's made me good at my sport. So
Mm-hmm.
I just like to put out there stuff like, be happy with your body. We don't all need to filter and edit it all, because there's so much editing at the moment. And even
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I look at these pictures and think, why can't I look like that? But
Mm-hmm.
it's not real.
Yeah. No,
It's
of
not
course.
real.
Yeah, no, that's so
So I
true.
need to learn. I need to learn to love me,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, do you think that in athletics especially, there's like added pressure because you have all of this with the dieting and training, and do you think there's added pressure on athletes to look a
I
certain
think
way?
so. I think as a
Mm-hmm.
young woman, I think there's added pressure. I think the older you get, the more focused you'll probably be in your sport.
Mm-hmm.
But at a teenager, I think it's massive, massive pressure.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like you said, you like to speak about it and put stuff up on your Instagram, social media. What do you hope that you can achieve by this? Is it raising awareness, having other people like maybe young girls looking up to you, or?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope young girls looking up to me and think and realizing we all think the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think, why can't I look like that? So I want to put out there that it's not real, and we should just be happy. If you work hard on yourself and on your body, then let's be happy, because we're lucky to even be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this might be a difficult question, but what do you think, like any person, like someone like me, for example, could do to contribute to maybe a more healthy environment when it comes to sports and like body image?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one, actually.
Yeah, like I said, it's not me asking you for all the answers, but it's quite interesting.
um what do you mean by to help?
I mean, I guess in general, like you said, a lot of people like they change the way they look on pictures and stuff like that. Do you think there's anything we can do, like everyone together, to try to raise more awareness, or is it just talking about it?
Well,
Because
I
everyone doesn't
feel
have the
like,
same platform like you do, obviously, to reach others.
yeah, I mean, it's nice. A lot of adverts at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
with the color of our skin as well. So like makeup range, there's so many different types of skin colors. So it's really nice to put all that in one photograph or one
Mm-hmm.
video, just to show that we're all so different yet so beautiful in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. So things like that, I would love to do something with all different body types. I would love that so
Mm-hmm.
much, just to put it out there and be like, I'm muscular. That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. This person's not. That's okay. And
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, just to
Hopefully one
show.
day.
Yeah, just to show the diversity kind of everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. No, that's not, like I said, maybe not the easiest question, but it's interesting to hear since you're active in this, and like to speak around this topic. So yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
um, and like you said as well, just briefly, you have your own business, like a beauty business. How come that you started this as well? Is that something you always wanted to do?
Well, Yeah, I've always, when I was younger, I used to be like, I'm going to be a hairdresser or something in beauty, makeup. So I've always said it. Obviously, then diving took over. And with me being a coach in the evenings, I had all day spare to do nothing. So instead of walking my dog all the time and all my friends were working throughout the daytimes, I was like, I need to find something that I love. So I did some courses and I absolutely love it. And it's from home. I don't feel like I'm working. And you meet so many nice people and they become your friends instead of clients. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
That's great. That's great. And like you said before, like from sports, it's kind of helped you to, like you said, you can speak to anyone now. So I guess that comes in handy as well with this beauty business.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I used to go away actually to all my competitions, and I used to take my nail machine, shellac machine with me. Everyone was like, "You've always got such nice nails," and I was like, "I've got it with me. I'll do yours." So yeah, all the other countries were like, "When can you do mine?" Yeah.
So you started it back then already.
Yep. Secret.
Yeah.
I was like, anybody coming in?
Awesome. And I mean, right now, obviously, with this difficult situation with the COVID and everything, how has that impacted, your business and your coaching role?
Yeah, my business, obviously, it's not really happening at all. That's a bit of a shame. With the diving pool being shut, it doesn't affect me as such, but it affects the guys that are training for world championships and Olympic games, hopefully to qualify next year now. So, we've got to get that pool open for these guys, really.
Yeah, okay, of course, that makes sense. And I mean, with everything opening up now, hopefully everything getting better, what are your goals and objectives moving forward, continuing on after your diving career?
Yeah, I'd quite like to do my personal training course. I'd quite like to do some fitness stuff with people. So that's something that I'm going to look into. Diving wise, I can't wait to get back into that, teach the little kids, because obviously they have clearly drove their parents crazy the last couple of months, no doubt.
Yeah.
And with my beauty, can't wait to push that and get more clients.
Okay, awesome. That sounds really good. You know what you want to do, so yeah.
For sure, I'm ready now. I'm ready.
Perfect. I wish you all the best of luck with that, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really only have one more question for you. So basically our podcast is about, sharing professional athlete stories and just showing that everyone's, journey is different. Everyone faces different challenges and goes through different things. So do you have one or maybe, some advice that you could give to everyone that's listening and that, have big dreams and are looking for ways to reach them?
Yeah, do you know what? Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I never put pressure on myself. And I remember so many people saying, I must do this, I must have this food at this time, I must get to bed at that time. You're overthinking it. Like, stop. Yes, I am determined and dedicated and I want, those goals I want to achieve, but I never ever put pressure on myself. I was very laid back. I always had a smile on my face when I was competing, unless obviously I had a bad day. But yeah, never ever pressure yourself, because if you put too much on yourself, it's only going to go one way and it's going to be the wrong way. So work hard, keep smiling, enjoy yourself, and I'm sure they'll achieve anything they can put their mind to.
That's great, definitely. Yeah, that's very true. The positive, being positive all the time, being happy, like you said, that's really cool.
Yes. Yeah,
absolutely. And if anyone wants to, follow you or get in contact with you, what's the best way to do so? I know you're on Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah, on my Instagram, I always try and keep up as much as I can, because obviously some people that I don't follow, their messages will go to my outbox, so I try and keep up as much as I can. I think you messaged me on there, didn't you?
Yes.
And I went through to have a look and I was like, oh, who's this lovely lady? Yeah, if they need to get hold of me, have a little message on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. And on your YouTube, what do you share there typically?
Oh, do you know what? I haven't done a YouTube in ages. Okay. I must get back on the case. I must.
Okay.
Do some workouts, something funny. But yeah, I kind of got a little bit lazy with YouTube.
Okay, so maybe this is the time to start it back up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tonia, again for taking your time. It's been a pleasure meeting you and speaking to you, obviously. And yeah, we wish you all the best of luck with the future and all of your goals that you have.
Thank you very much. It was so lovely meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.